I'm Megan Nielsen, and today I'm going to show you how to sew the Flint Overalls bib add-on so that you can create your own awesome pair of overalls just like these. This is a free add-on sewing pattern available on my website that you can use in combination with any pants pattern. You can use it with the Flint pants and shorts pattern, which is also available on my website, or you can pair it with your favorite bottoms, whether they be pants, shorts, or a skirt, to create your own custom overalls. It's really up to you how creative you want to be with it. There's a couple of different ways that you can enjoy this pattern. You can either permanently attach it to your pants, shorts, or skirt to create a permanent pair of overalls, or you can do what I did today, which is create a detachable bib, which will allow you to wear your overalls as overalls sometimes and as pants other times. I really love this because it's a bit fun and it also allows you to enjoy your makes in more than one way, and I'm a huge fan of anything that is modular and has more than one use. The other reason that I'm excited today is because my regular sewing machine, which is a Benina 530, is out for its annual service. And I thought that would be a really fun opportunity to show you what it's like to sew on my Vintage Elna Lotus. This is the sewing machine that I learned to sew on when I was 12 years old. It's a really basic beginner level sewing machine. It only has a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. And I thought it'd be really fun to do this tutorial with this sewing machine just to show you that there's nothing you can't do without a basic sewing machine. You can sew basically anything with an entry-level machine that has a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch. You don't need to buy anything fancy or expensive, and if you can get something secondhand, that's even better. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe so you get my future updates. All right, let's sew some overalls.
The first thing you need to do is head over to my website and download the free Flint Bib Overall add-on. It's available in two size ranges, our 0 to 20 size range and curve 14 to 30. Once you've downloaded your pattern pieces, you'll need to cut out your fabric. For this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to sew the overall bib with fully enclosed seams, which I think just gives it a really nice professional finish that's also really long lasting. To do this, you'll need to cut out 4 of the bib pattern pieces and 4 of the strap pattern pieces. You'll take 2 of the bib pieces, place them right sides together and pin down the center front. You'll take the remaining 2 overall bib pieces and pin them down the center front again. One of these will be the outside of the bib and one will be the inside. Now we can set those aside and we can work on our straps. So again, 4 of these need to be cut out. 2 will create one strap and 2 will create the second strap. You need to place 2 right sides together. We're going to pin them all the way along the long edge and the straight edge. So you'll notice with the straps that there's an angled edge. This gets attached to the back waistband of your pants, and there's a straight edge. The straight edge is the one that you will use to button into the front of your overalls when we're finished. In case you're wondering, I can't pin this fast in real life. I have sped this up just because it's a lot of pinning, but I'd like to think I can pin this quickly. It would make sewing a lot faster. Now that we've finished pinning everything together, let's have a look at where we need to be sewing. So we're going to be sewing down the 2 long straight edges of the straps and the 1 short straight edge. Remember, the angled edge is where we're going to attach them to our pants, so we're going to leave that open. When it comes to the bib front, right now we're just going to sew down the center front of both of them and then we're going to come back. Heading over to the sewing machine, we can start sewing the bib pieces first. The seam allowance for this pattern is 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch. The first thing I'm going to do is backstitch before I start sewing my seams to secure those threads. One of the things I think is kind of fun and interesting about the Elna Lotus is that the backstitch is actually on the stitch length dial instead of being a separate button or a lever. And the interesting thing about this is that it allows you to backstitch indefinitely, which comes in handy when you're sewing a buttonhole because this machine doesn't have an automatic buttonhole. I'll show you how I achieve that later, but it's just one of those funny little quirks that I really enjoy about this machine. So snipping my threads, I can move on to the next one. The other thing that you'll notice is that as I'm sewing, I'm taking the pins out before I sew over them. This is really important because though you can get lucky sometimes and not hit a pin, if you do hit it, you can either break your needle, bend the pin, jam your machine, or as has happened to me before, snap the pin and have the pointy end fly at your face. Times like that, I'm really glad I wear glasses. Once you've sewn both of the bib center fronts, then you'll be heading over to the iron and you'll be pressing the seams of the center front open. Please don't skip pressing. Pressing's an incredibly important part of sewing, and you will just get much better results if you press every seam before you move on. So here I'm just opening the seam with my fingers just to show you what it looks like before you would iron it. And here's a little bit of a look at what your two bib pieces will look like after you've pressed them. Now we've got these two bib pieces sewn and pressed, we can put them aside and we can go sew some straps, because no one wants to do too much ironing in a row. It's not that fun. So back to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew the straps now, and I'm not going to show the whole thing because they're just really long and it gets a little bit boring. But I do want to mention again that we're going to be sewing down the long end, across the short end, and back down the long end, and we're going to be leaving that angled edge open because that's how we're going to turn everything to the right side, and it's also where we're going to attach to the back of our pants. So you don't want to sew that closed or you're going to be in a bit of a pickle later. So I'm going to finish the sewing the rest of the strap off camera and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Now that we've got our two straps sewn, we're going to clip off the corners of the straps, being really careful that we don't cut through the stitches. The entire reason we're doing this is just to reduce bulk at those corners to make it a bit easier for us to get a really crisp corner. I'm about to introduce you to one of my favorite sewing tools ever, which is the humble chopstick. I really like using chopsticks for turning corners because they're pretty blunt and they're quite long, and I just find them a lot more helpful than most of my professional turning tools. So what I do is, with the straight edge of the strap, you're going to just kind of push it into the right side with your fingers and then insert the chopstick or whatever other pointing tool you want to use, and kind of just keep moving the very end of the strap through the body of the strap till you reach the open edge. Once you get there, you don't want to pull it all the way through yet. You want to spend a little bit of time trying to reshape that corner to be as square as you can. My linen was quite thick, so I wasn't able to get as crisp a corner as I'd like, but I'm pretty happy with it nonetheless. Once you've finished reshaping the end of the strap, you can now pull it through the body of the strap so the entire right side is revealed. And then we're going to head over to the iron and press the entire strap, making sure that the seams are as even and square and everything's pushed to the edges really neatly. When I got to the iron, I went a little overboard and decided I wanted to fully enclose the raw edges of the angled edge. I just did this by turning in 6mm or 1/4 of an inch and pressing. You can finish the end of the straps just with a zigzag stitch or an overlocker if you like. Now I just have to finish those edges by sewing them closed at the machine. Now we can move on to my favorite detail of all time, pockets. The first thing we're going to work on is the top edge of the pocket. We're just going to fold in that top edge twice and top stitch it. In the original tutorial we did for this, we recommended turning it in 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch twice. I decided to turn this one in by 6mm and then 1.5 centimeters. It didn't make any difference really, but I just wanted to mention that's why it looks a bit different than the tutorial on my blog. So once you've turned in those edges and pressed them, you'll head over to the machine and sew that top edge closed. I'm sewing just under 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch from the edge, and that's just going to enclose the raw edges. We're going to head back to the iron now. I'm going to turn in the remaining raw edges 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters and press them. I also like to fold in that top corner of the raw seam allowance just to make sure that nothing pokes out on the right side when we're done. At this stage, I realized I'd forgot to transfer my pattern markings to the front of the bib. So this is just a little reminder for everyone. Don't forget to do that. Pattern markings are important. There are a couple of different ways that you can mark the placement of the pocket and the buttonholes on your pattern. You could use chalk, pen, pins, or like me, my favorite method is to use tailor's tacks. Tailor's tacks are my favorite method because they're really easy to remove later. They don't permanently mark the fabric and they're easy to see. They sound a lot fancier than what they are. Really, all you're doing here is taking a contrast thread and a needle and passing it through the markings on your pattern so that they're now on the fabric itself. I know it probably looks a little bit confusing that there are 2 buttonholes there. You only need to mark 1. I was grading between 2 sizes because I'm one size at the bust and a different size at the hip, which is why 2 buttonhole markings are showing there. So just make sure when you're marking your buttonholes that you're choosing the one that corresponds with your chosen bust size. Don't forget when you're done to flip it over and mark the other side of the bib as well, so you're doing a mirror image. And here you can see how easily I can now line up my pocket with those tailor's tacks and then top stitch all the way around the edge of the pocket to secure it to the bib. And with the magic of the internet, I've now sewn my pocket to the front of my bib. I did some reinforcing stitches on the corners of the top edge of the pocket as well, just to make them a little bit stronger. Now we're going to take the inside of the bib and place it right sides together with the outside of the bib and sew around the edges. You can choose to leave the bottom edge of the bib completely open and then finish that raw edge with an overlocker, a zigzag stitch or binding. But since I was completely enclosing the raw edges on my straps, I decided to do the same with the front bib. So I sewed a little bit along the bottom edge, around the side of the bib, along the top, back down the side, and then when I got to the bottom again, I sewed just past center front and then stopped, leaving a gap of a couple of inches so that there was enough room for me to be able to turn that bib to the right side when I was finished. This is honestly entirely optional. It's just a fun thing I decided to do this time. It's worth mentioning that if you do decide to enclose the raw edges by turning in that bottom edge and sewing it, you will be losing 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch from the total height of your bib overall. But to be honest, this is pretty generously lengthed anyway, so I don't think you're really going to struggle. I'm 5'5", so I'm not particularly tall, but I didn't find that it impacted the height too badly. If you are particularly tall, you might want to just add that seam allowance back on so you don't lose too much. Now that we've finished sewing our bib pieces right sides together, it's time to remove some bulk from those corners by clipping the corners off before we turn to the right side. Again, we're being really careful not to cut through any stitches. All we want to do here is reduce bulk. So once you've finished cutting those corners off, we can turn our bib to the right side. You can see where my hands are now. That's the gap in the sewing that I left to enable me to turn the bib to the right side. I'm basically just pushing the entire bib through that little hole to get the right side of the fabric out and all the raw edges inside and enclosed. I made my hole a little bit smaller than is ideal, so it was a little bit of a struggle, but it worked. If you leave the bottom of your bib open, this is going to be a lot easier for you. So I did a little bit of preliminary reshaping, and then it was time to get my favorite tool back. That's right, it's the chopstick again. So I just stick my chopstick in and use it to try and square up those corners as best I can. And once I get all the corners as square as possible, we've just got to go back to the iron and give it a really good press. Just being careful that you've pushed the fabric of the seams as far to the edges as possible and everything's as square as it can be. So the reason I'm zooming in here is just to show you how I closed that bottom edge by top stitching. You can see now the markings for my buttonholes look a little different than they did at the beginning when I had the tailor's tacks. When I went to sew my buttonholes, I realized that the buttons I'd chosen were slightly bigger than the markings on the pattern, so I decided to readjust. You can do this pretty easily yourself as well. You just need a ruler and make sure that everything is even and that your buttonhole is a few millimeters bigger than your button. So moving over to the sewing machine, it's time to sew a buttonhole, a manual buttonhole without an automatic buttonhole function. This is honestly not as hard as it sounds. I know everyone gets really scared about it, but this is how I learned to sew buttonholes when I was 12. You can definitely do it. So all you need to do is set your machine to a zigzag stitch on the widest stitch setting that it has and sew a couple of stitches at the end of the buttonhole just to secure everything. Once you have secured the end of your buttonhole with the widest stitch length, then you're going to turn it back to a really short and narrow stitch length that's a little bit less than half the width of that end securing, and you're going to sew all the way down the length of the buttonhole until you reach the second button marking, which is the bottom of your buttonhole. And when you get there, you're just going to reposition your needle so that it's on the very right of the buttonhole. Sew another wide set of zigzag stitches to secure the bottom edge of the buttonhole. Once you've finished that, we're going to turn all the way around and sew the buttonhole back up to the top again. Once you finish sewing your buttonhole, the last thing to do is pull the threads to the wrong side and secure them and cut that buttonhole open. Now we need to figure out how we're going to attach the bib to the pants themselves. You can do this a couple of different ways. You could sew on snaps, you could sew more buttonholes and add buttons, or you could do something a little bit different, which is what I did. I ended up attaching cam snaps to the bottom of my straps and the bottom of my bib. These are traditionally used in baby clothing and nappies or diapers. A couple of years ago, I had grand plans of making all of the nappies for our third child. I bought all the supplies, including a very expensive cam snap press and cam snaps in all the rainbow colors, and I made approximately 0 nappies. So I thought this would be a really great excuse to use up some of my cam snaps. I attached them to the bottom edge of the bib and the straps, and then also to the top edge of the inside of my Flint waistband on the front and the back. So now I can easily snap the front and the back of the overalls onto the pants when I want to wear them and take them off when I don't want to. One of the nice happy accidents that occurred from using a product normally used for baby nappies or baby clothing is that these snaps really are incredibly comfortable, and I can't feel them at all when I'm wearing them. When the bib is not attached, the socket side is just incredibly smooth, and I haven't noticed any discomfort at all, which is great. The very last thing that you want to do now is try on your overalls and just check the placement of your straps. We have made the straps a little bit longer and more generous to give you a lot of room to move so that you can choose where you want that button to be. And that's it. All that's left is to wear your awesome overalls and enjoy them. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you would like to learn how to make a permanent pair of overalls, check out the link on my blog. I'll put it below. And happy sewing!